Hey there everyone, and welcome to a video where I'm going to go through every skill rune that's come to the advanced skills so far. You get them by getting class points. You get the nature one and then you get the shadow one. The nature ones in general are really bad, and the shadow ones, some of them are very interesting. So I'm going to be skipping through as fast as possible. I've got to get through a rune a minute or so. So yeah, let's get through this. Just a few things to note first. My knight is properly geared, but my archer and wizard, their crit chance and crit damage is are low, so they will be hitting roughly 60,000. Like they're really weak right now. So don't trust the exact numbers of things, but you'll get an idea of stuff anyway. And also my elemental stats are all 50%, so that's 50% nature, 50% shadow. Just to clear that up. So the first one to look at is Lightning Blast. This damage added on is fairly low. It's about 80% nature overall, and to be honest, that doesn't really add on a lot to the skill rune. I would have expected something over 100%, but anyway, that's the way it is. They've also haven't fixed the thing, so if you're moving and you use it, it's going to miss, which is really frustrating. So anyway, no change to the animation. It just basically does exactly the same as things before, but adds a little bit of nature damage onto it. And yeah, nothing particularly special that I see here. That's just how it is. So moving on from that one. The next one is Dark Torrent, and what makes this one interesting is Torrent is almost exactly the same as the burst skill in the way you'd use it. And Expel is one of the good skill runes on burst. Adds 104% shadow plus some static damage. This one adds 116% shadow plus some static damage, almost identical. And to be honest, I wouldn't expect much more. I was expecting exactly this kind of bonus to the damage. It's not really a damage skill. It's more about the stun effect in PvP, the area of effect that it hits, and the knockback and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, not excessive damage. But certainly useful. The animations changed slightly, so it does a kind of dark burst, which is quite cool. But that's those two skills. Skill runes, nothing really too interesting going on, just some elemental damage on there. And the one on Dark Torrent I do prefer. I think I probably will level this up, just because actually overall it's going to, boost the damage output. And if I have any shadow bonus, then it will be doing fairly nice damage. So the next one is... Oh, no. Click the wrong thing. Okay, the next one is Life Drain. So this skill works by dealing some damage, healing you. It adds on, the skill rune adds on a damage over time effect of nature. Normally when I see 4 seconds, that means it hits 5 times. However, with this, it actually doesn't do anything on the first hit. There's just the 4 hits after that. So this is quite pathetically low damage, and really doesn't do a lot. Kind of like the Lightning Blast here, just nothing really going for it, but it's the first skill rune, so you can't really ask for something overpowered just yet. Now Penumbra is a very unusual one. I think it's actually bugged, because if you use the base skill, it will refract what you're getting dealt damage wise, or what you would be. So you can see here they're all taking pathetic damage because I'm invincible right now. However, the Penumbra skill rune changes that. So this 20% damage reduction, which is, normally I'd just read that as 20% damage reduction, somehow this strangely changes the refracting, so that instead of doing what they deal to you, you deal a hit of 20% of your, what would normally be your basic attack, non-elemental damage basically. So yeah, that's weird, and I don't think it's intentional, because the whole point of this skill is you reflect what they hit you with. But anyway, so that's why you're seeing some numbers there. The shadow damage it adds on is actually quite nice, quite substantial. 45%. The static damage isn't much, but you can think of it as like 50% shadow each time it procs, which is every 4 hits you take. So over the course of the duration, this could go 4 times or so, and you could deal 200% shadow. Fairly good. The only problem is this skill is fairly weak and just doesn't have a lot of use right now. Other than maybe in PvP, it could be really good. When we get more hotkeys, then I could definitely see use for it there, because it could, you could, use it in conjunction with other defense skills more easily. But anyway, that's the way this skill rune works. Adds some fairly decent damage onto it, which is nice. So moving on to the Archer skill runes. The Archer skill runes are much more interesting in my mind. First up, we've got Poison Snare. All this does is add on some nature damage, which is pathetically low. It's almost all in the static damage. This will hit 2 or 3 times, like with the base damage. So yeah, not really much doing that going on there. As you can see, the nature damage going alongside it, and not very much. So that's all that does. Nightstalker. This is really interesting. So I actually was slightly involved in the design of the advanced skills. They asked me for feedback and that kind of stuff, and this is exactly what I wanted on this particular skill. So with the skill runes, this is a party buff, remember. It adds on 100% shadow. I expect with other skill runes we get for this, they're going to be like 100% for fire, 100% for water, that kind of thing. And what this does is it boosts your stat. So it doesn't double shadow. What it does is the 56% shadow here becomes 156%. So this is actually a really nice boost for PvE, like to take down a boss if there's, you know, a particular element all the people in your party are using. It'd be brilliant for that. You can kind of specifically bring down certain elements. And for PvP, the best use I can see for this is it's already a good one for like getting between fights between people because of the movement speed. You go in with slightly more armor. But yeah, Dark Arrow is a very nice opening skill to stun the enemy, and this boosts Dark Arrow quite considerably. So 100% is a very nice boost. It's not crazily good, and some people with high shadow stats may not see it so appealing, but I do think it's definitely got a lot of use there. Certainly very strong. So then we've got the sniper ones. Poison Arrow here. Considering the base damage here is very high, this isn't very strong. Again, like the leech skill, it doesn't hit on that first attack. It's the damage over time just comes as the 4 hits later. So it's not 5 hits, it is 4 hits. And yeah, the damage isn't very big. It's about 100% nature. So it's okay, but just nothing that special. Shroud Guard, this is where it does get special. This one, I could go on about this all day. I'm redoing this video because I got annoyed with myself. I spent way too long on this. So yeah, the skill itself gives a 20% heal every second, and what's really nice is the duration is 10 seconds long, so with a cooldown potion, which, it's just come off. With a cooldown potion, you can have it on constantly. And yes, this skill rune adds both defense and damage, mainly damage, but that defense property is 20% chance to negating any incoming damage, which is kind of like a 20% damage reduction in some ways, but doesn't help from one-shots and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that is a nice little defense buff. And then the damage output is crazy. So you got this 45% plus 7,500, roughly kind of 50% shadow. This happens so frequently that actually you get some good damage output. Unlike with Penumbra on the wizard one, this has 10-second duration rather than 5, so you have it active more for more of the time, and so you'll get more hits out of it. Now the area of effect is insane, absolutely insane. So I'm going to get hit over here, and you'll see there, that's the very edge of it. But it's, oh come on, I need to activate now. Yeah, it will hit a huge area around you as you're getting attacked, and as you can see, it's a very consistent source of damage output. My damage is really low, as I explained earlier, so it's not actually killing these enemies off. But 50% shadow is not too bad, and when it's happening this frequently on a defense buff, that's awesome. I'm going to quickly show it now because oh, actually, I should say first, the way I'd choose to do it is put decoy behind you. Have decoy level 99 out of 99, so it absorbs the damage for you, which means you can tank and not take any damage. And then that means you'll get the proc effects of this, and you'll get it as an extra source of damage output. May not be to everyone's taste doing that, but that's definitely a cool use I see for it. Now, I've already talked about the combo of Dark Mist with First Aid. I love that, and I feel like it's an incredibly good tanking option for archers. But yeah, made even more so with this new skill rune. So I'm going into this, and I'm obviously not invincible. Use Dark Mist first. I accidentally clicked the wrong buttons. But yeah, Dark Mist first, and then First Aid. And as you can see, I'm not very strong right now. I'm not like... I'm okay strength, but not super strength. And I'm able to tank up enough, and you can see the damage output here. It would help if I had more damage, but... wow, okay. The melee enemies just hit me, and it just obliterated them with the reflecting there. I actually really want this enemy dead. This is an annoying one. It's going to do knockback, and that can screw up some of the effects that are going on. So I'm just going to show it for a little bit longer. You're very you're almost defenseless when Dark Mist goes. There are 3 seconds when you can't use it. But anyway, I kind of wish they didn't have the fear going on right now. I only really want Dark Mist for the damage reduction, so I can survive a little bit better. But anyway, what I wanted to show was the crazy amount of proc you get, and like how it's damaging all these enemies. It's very cool, and I'm not going to go on about this for too long. But yeah, basically, it's got really good damage, and I absolutely love that skill rune. It's epic. So yes, max that one if you are when you get it. Let's move on to the Night skill runes. So with these Night skill runes, I'm going to have to rush slightly more. Earth Sever, sorry. This adds a little bit over 100% nature damage onto it, which, considering the base damage of it, isn't that much. And because of the long cooldown and that kind of stuff, this is less, quite a bit less than what you get on Cleave skill runes. I'm not a fan of this. It's, you know, some kind of boost, and if you have a nature stat high, then it could be good. But it's not really anything special at all. Just to show you the animation, it looks kind of like Wild Swing. Now this one, Dark Sunder, this is very interesting. So the base skill does a ton of damage, 1550% when you have it maxed, and the skill rune adds a very sizable amount onto that. So 310% shadow plus 15,000. 15,000, just ignore that. 310% shadow. That is very nice. I'm happy. They really want this to be a high damage skill that's very viable. The long cooldown is kind of annoying, but yeah, 300% shadow. That is amazing. So my damage output on this class right now is kind of more normal. So what you're seeing here is kind of what you could expect from it. These are light enemies, so they take double shadow. And I think I was testing this before. The skill hits about 3 million when I'm using it, and with 50% shadow bonus, and the shadow doing double damage, the bonus from this skill is adding about 2 million. So yes, you can definitely add a lot more damage on with this skill rune to something which is already like a ridiculously high damaging skill. So I like that a lot. Definitely very viable. Now moving on to the other two, Reflect here. Yes, Reflect. So Thorn Armor. Kind of an odd skill as it is. How it's only lasts 1 second. More of a PvP thing for like reflecting one-shots and that kind of stuff, if you can time it. So doesn't really have PvE use. So the nature damage here as well is tiny. I don't know why they did this. 25% plus 11,000 is just pathetic. So ignore this skill rune, and I'll just move on to the other one. Dark Blade. This Royal Blade skill is terrible. I went off about how bad it was in another video, and I really want them to change it. But yeah, this adds on a bit of shadow damage. It's almost a pathetic amount. I mean, 5%. You can almost just ignore that 5%. The static damage is what it is. You know what the damage really is. And when you sort of calculate all the numbers and stuff, it definitely ups the damage output of this skill by quite a lot, but it still doesn't make it viable. The healing's small, the duration is only 5 seconds, so if they revamp this skill by increasing the duration to 10 seconds, or upping the heal effect, or something like that, then this skill rune could be good. But basically all it does is it just makes it do quite a bit more damage. So knockbacks kind of interrupt it, and I won't be able to show it properly here. But anyway, that's all the skill runes, all 12 skill runes. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you an idea of what they're all like, and I'll see you in a video soon. Thanks very much.